So let's start. I welcome you all to this Youth Ideathon session on guest lecture series, which we call How I Got My Idea. This is where we invite accomplished entrepreneurs to come and share about their journey, to be able to give you some guidance or some inspiration as to how once you've got an idea, what's the right trigger and how do you sort of hold that baton and gun forward. I take this opportunity to invite Scarlett. Skylar Scarlett is a visionary entrepreneur who has appeared on Shark Tank, the US chapter, twice. He has been featured in special and popular magazines like Forbes. If I can request you not to share your screen. He's been written about in really popular magazines like Forbes, The Entrepreneur, and Inc. At a very young age, at 22, Skylar launched his first company, which was a cryotherapy wellness spa. And then he expanded that into a multi-million-dollar business and partnered with one of the largest health clubs in the world, successfully exiting in 2017. And as a serial entrepreneur, Skylar's latest venture, which is Game+, an innovative edtech startup, which transforms popular video games into engaging educational lessons. With Game+, he aims to revolutionize the way students learn by combining two major things that students really care about. One is games as well as education. Who's got to score, right? And his vision with Game+ is to take it to schools worldwide and reshape the education system, sort of boost learning engagement at a global scale. Please give a round of applause to Skylar for having joined. Hi, Skylar. Very, very glad to have you here. If I can start, Skylar, if you could tell us about your journey from being a student in school and then in college, and when did the entrepreneurship bug hit you?
Thank you for that intro. Really, really appreciate it. So excited to be here. I love entrepreneurship. Been an entrepreneur for more than a quarter of my life now. Now, I'm not too old. I know I'm in my early 30s, but I spent my whole 20s as an entrepreneur. So I love that all the students here are interested in entrepreneurship, and I love to teach. So education is extremely important to me. As you mentioned, ideas, right? Like we all get ideas. How do you know when you have an idea worth pursuing? Because being an entrepreneur is very hard. I think you have to have an idea that you think about like every day for like 3 months. You wake up and you still think about it because you have to be passionate about it, because no matter what you're choosing to do as your idea, it's going to be very difficult. So you need to make sure you're passionate about it. The other thing is make sure your idea solves a big problem. I made this mistake before. I think my first company, cryotherapy, I didn't really do enough research. Granted, I had a really, good long run of success with the cryotherapy business, but I don't think I did exactly the right kind of market research I should have. Now for Game Class, my newest startup, a little bit different. There's 3 billion people in the world that play video games. So already, video games are they're worldwide, right? And then when you think about education, learning engagement is so important. Like on this Zoom, how do I make sure that I keep you engaged, right? Listening to me. If you guys stop paying attention, I can't teach you anything. So again, a learning engagement to me is one of the biggest problems any teacher is going to go through. How do we make sure that what I'm saying to you is engaging, is exciting? So one of it is probably not talking too much. So I'll hand it back over to the awesome host.
Thank you. Thank you. And yes, as in, I really like the fact that you said 100 days or 3 months is something that you've got to sit with the idea to be able to sort of keep it in the center and bang it from all sides to see, do you give the right sounds? Is it sort of musically goes? It was a lovely, lovely way of phrasing it. But could you take us through how you got your first idea, right when you started your first company, Climate? What was it based on?
There we go. Now it's letting me unmute. My first idea, we'll just say this. I had so many ideas that I never did anything with. And I think that's probably a good thing, because I looking back, I can realize now that a lot of these ideas just weren't worth the time. So cryotherapy, though, I say now I didn't do enough research, but I did fly to cities to try it. And at the time, it really didn't exist in the US market. So let's say back when I started, there was maybe 10 locations in the entire US. And I flew to go see 5 of them. So that's pretty good in that regard. So I went to those locations to see what I liked and then what I didn't like, what I could change. The greatest thing about being an entrepreneur is the power to change things. That's why I love being an entrepreneur. It's like you have the power to change anything that you want. And being an entrepreneur doesn't mean you need to create a new idea. You can take an existing idea and make it better. And that's actually probably an easier path for most entrepreneurs is to take something that is already out there, but just making it better. Now, game class is kind of different. It doesn't really exist. So I tend to choose things that I think are actually a little harder of an entrepreneur route. I don't know if maybe I like the challenge or what it is, but it's perfectly okay to take something that already exists and just make it better.
Yeah, lovely. As in the confidence to thrive on a challenge and sort of take it head on with something new. And I'm really excited to know more about game class. I am also a little curious about what your experience with Shark Tank was, hitting the show twice. I think probably the judges panel would 60 or 70% be the same in the two versions. How was that like? And as a journey, how old were you at that time? And if you could tell us a little bit about your journey with that show. Yeah.
I think I'll keep myself unmuted to make it easier on you. But no, Shark Tank was amazing. I mean, look, I was really young, and this show is really hard to get onto. So I think on the US version of Shark Tank, 100,000 people apply. They choose out of 100,000, maybe 300 companies to fly down to Los Angeles, California. And then from there, even when you get there, and that's after a year round of casting process, they only choose like 100 to go in front of the Sharks. And then from the 100 that go in front of the Sharks, they choose like 60 of those to be on TV. So it's a big investment, but it was a life-changing event for me. I think these things are very rare for entrepreneurs. If you're lucky, it happens once in your life. And if it does, take advantage of it. So, when I'm sending emails, I'll, include Shark Tank in there. I think people, they feel like they know you a little bit if they see you on TV or they know you've been on the show. So I used it for marketing reasons. We were successful on the show. We got offered a deal. I was very young. I think we came off looking very good. So LA Fitness, a big health club chain, saw us on the TV show, offered me a deal in my early 20s. They were a billion-dollar health club chain at the time in my early 20s. So I don't think that ever would have happened without Shark Tank. So again, opportunities coming from the show. So it was definitely life-changing.
Yeah, and Shark Tank has been in India for I think 3 years now, and it's doing really, really well. It's sort of brought in a new vocabulary to all of us in terms of what a Series A is like, incubation, startup, angel fund, and it's a mom and dad vocabulary. So it's done really well, and as you said, yes, as the kind of exposure it gives you that mass scale, it's really good. When you were featured in Forbes or Entrepreneur, and these are globally acclaimed magazines, how was the experience when you would, let's say your peers would sort of hear and say, "Oh, we saw you on Forbes," and did you share it with them? What's
Yeah,
the kind
I
of
think
clout that you would have been?
it's super helpful. And again, like if I'm giving you advice because you're younger, my first, media was like my local magazine in my town. That's okay. You take baby steps. I think any publications are good. Any branding is good. Doesn't have to be, Forbes or the top. Eventually you get there, right? But yeah, that stuff is extremely valuable. I use it all the time on my website, in my email signature, things like that. Things that can get me a conversation where if I didn't use it, maybe I wouldn't get that conversation. So credibility is really important, right? If you're dealing with strangers and, a lot of entrepreneurship is sales. So how do you trust a complete stranger? You can't, you don't know them. So what have they done, right? What's their resume, their track record? Have they worked with anything that you are familiar with? Most people are familiar with Forbes or Shark Tank and Inc. and things like that. So I make sure to use it as a marketing purpose for sales. Really, really important.
That's awesome. And now, as an accomplished entrepreneur, yes, you do get sought out by Forbes and such kind of magazines. But as a young entrepreneur, let's say now we do have a wave of student entrepreneurship sort of coming in. Even the students from schools, as they apply and look at entrepreneurship as a career path, how is it that they can meander through this large cloud of being right there, using such platforms to their benefit? What's your advice to them?
if you ever get on a platform like that, make sure the whole world knows. And if your whole world is just your friends and your family, make sure they know. So like you should never get these publications and then not promote it on social media or, put it on a sign in your business. Like if you do something but no one knows about it, did you do it, right? I'm saying that because I mean you really got to promote yourself and people have a hard time promoting themselves. It's not always easy for people to talk about themselves, but the more you do it, the more used to it you get. And it's so important in life and in business to promote yourself. Some of the most successful people are just the best promoters.
No, that is true. But then a lot of times kids are shy about sharing their
Yeah,
accomplishments. In fact, it also turns counterpart. One of the most deserving people sort of tend to be the most shy.
it's
So
true.
what's
That's
your trick to
okay,
come out of
right?
a case?
I was really shy growing up. Really, really shy. Even in high school, middle school, very shy student, very shy kid. Obviously, I wouldn't be on the Zoom with 70 people, right, if I was still shy. So again, practice makes perfect. The more you do it, the more comfortable it becomes. And this is really important, right? You're going to get rejected a lot in entrepreneurship. As soon as you get over rejection, you become the best entrepreneur. It's okay to fail. All right. Think about school. Sometimes you fail, you do it again, you do better, right? That's entrepreneurship. You hardly ever get it right the first time. So even with game class, I'm prepared to go to a school and have a principal say, no way, I'll never use this. Fine. Can you tell me why? Can I get some feedback on how I can improve? And then the more you do it, you start to hear more yeses, you get more confident. But rejection is all part of being an entrepreneur. And yeah, if you are so shy and you can't come out of your shell, find a co-founder or a business partner who isn't. That's a good point, right? You don't have to do things by yourself. Find someone that complements you, and someone that is not shy can be a really good business partner if you are shy.
Yeah, no, lovely point there. And also see that a lot of the students right here trying to share their screen to have that 1 second of being showcased to all. And
Yeah, there you go.
super appreciated, super appreciated. But we'll try and keep that in control. Really, really excited to hear about game class combining two of the most important industries when we look at anything below 18 years of age as a user, games even more, and education now with continued and massive open online courses. Both of these, in fact, do go beyond school as well. What really got you sort of zeroed in on this problem, and how did you approach game class? And tell us more about it. If possible, even
Absolutely.
take us through it. We would
Yeah,
love to
let's
see
go
what
through
you've
this.
done.
So I've been playing video games since I was 5. Think about that. That's a long time. So I grew up in the video game era, as you call it, in the 90s. I grew up in the 90s when video game consoles were coming out. So I was really into tech growing up. And the video game consoles were with me at a young age. So I grew up with one of my favorite hobbies being video games. And in my 30s, I'm married, I have a daughter. I still play video games with my friends. So a lot of my friends still playing video games. So video games have just grown so much since I was a kid, and we're all still playing. So I knew I always wanted to be in the video game space if I could find a specific area where I could provide value. And then what happened is during COVID, the whole world shut down. And at the time, I had a cryotherapy business and a health club. Well, it was forced shut down for a whole year in California. So I was playing a lot more video games, and I was playing team games, multiplayer games where you communicate. And it's funny, I noticed that every time we won, our communication was perfect. Every time. And when we lost, our communication broke down. I said, man, if you were recording this, you could put this in a classroom and it would be better than anything they've ever used in the classroom to teach communication. Because you could just follow the breakdowns right there. And I'm like, this is why don't we do this more video game education? So I did my research and I found out that millions of dollars have been poured into creating video games from the ground up, but people did not find them fun games. And I got it because they weren't using games that people already liked. So I said, why aren't we using games like Fortnite or games that are played, Mario Kart, games that are played by millions and billions of people? Why don't we just use those games? And I realized that if we created software and we took the popular games, we could actually teach like basically anything using the games. And all of a sudden my light bulb went off going, wow, this is so simple yet so innovative. So I realized I needed a developer in a development team, which actually a lot of my developers are in India. Some of the most talented developers in the world in India. My team is so good that we built such an amazing platform. And I mean, honestly, our software was really difficult to build. Anyone in the world, if you have an internet connection, can pull up our editor, take any video game ever created from the 70s next week, and using our editor, within 5 minutes, we can teach an educational lesson with it.
Okay, and is it live on a browser, or it's controlled via
Web
access?
browser. So we didn't want it to be complicated. We didn't want you to have to download it to your computer or PC. We wanted just internet connection. You pull it up, we save it in the cloud, right? So if you
Mhm.
create a 5 minute lesson and you want to share that with your kid or another teacher or someone over in the US or India, you can do that instantly. So it's all cloud based. But yeah, the software is what took the longest for my team to build. But again, like I said, I'm a firm believer now that some of the best developers in the world are in India. Very talented team.
We are glad to have offered that to
Yeah,
the
very,
world.
very good.
But I want to ask this question, since I see that a lot of students are active on the chat with random
Good.
conversations. You should name one game that you've loved through your life and you would love to play more of it while getting permission with your parents or your teachers. Put it in the chat, the one game you love.
Yeah, I see a lot of Minecraft in the chat, which is great. Minecraft's an amazing game on Game Class to use. Roblox, yep, that makes sense.
And there are a lot of names that even I haven't heard of.
GTA, maybe not the best game for younger students, but yeah, it still works. Among Us, great choice. Free Fire, I don't know if that's popular in the US, but I love it. Would absolutely work. Is it a mobile game? Maybe it's a mobile game.
And
Mobile games work on our platform too.
like any
Avatar,
RPG game can be converted.
any game. Like I said, we literally have in our tagline is any game. As long as you can upload it on the game class, we can use it to teach. Forza, love that game. Great choice, whoever put Forza. Really like these games in here. Yep, Fortnite, going to be very popular on game class. Call of Duty, absolutely. The communication in Warzone and games like that is great. Power World, heard of that one, really good. Valorant, I think I'm way behind, but yeah, these games are fantastic in the chat. Uncharted, great game. So yeah, this is from the students. These are great games. Any of these games can be used. And I mean, if you want examples, right, like you can take FIFA and you can have younger kids and teach basic math. Ask them the colors of the grass or the stadium. Engineer students, how do you build the stadium you see in FIFA?
Hmm.
You can ask them the strategicness of how the soccer players are lined up and how you're going to teach sports coaching. Psychology, right? Anticipation. So, I mean, there's really no subject you can't teach. Uncharted, you can talk about, environment, the jungle. So, I mean, all these games are great and they all work. Cricket, great choice.
And I
So
think the
think
list
about
is not going to end. It keeps going
yeah,
scrolling.
I love this. I think this
There's
is a great idea. I love seeing all the games in here. But yeah, keep in mind too, you can just analyze decision making. So if you just watch them play video games, ask yourself, why did they go straight instead of going right? They made a choice there. We can analyze it. Was it the right choice or not? And with game class, you can pull up questions and quizzes, and you can do all kinds of stuff on top of the gameplay, things like that. Resident
it's
Evil, I like that game a lot. Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorite games, and you can definitely be used. Again, it depends on who is your target audience, right? You're probably going to use more colorful kid games for elementary school students, preschool students, and then more advanced, if you're in college level or above, yeah, you could use GTA, right? And games like that. So it really depends on who your audience is.
and when can we have them in India? Do you have plans of expanding to
Honestly,
Southern Asia?
I was focused on the US market, but then this opportunity came up to talk to the students and seeing all the games in there, I'm thinking, why are we even waiting? I could see that there's a lot of video game players in this specific group, which I love to see. And that's kind of what my thought was, right? And again, today in the US at least, 50% of players are female. It's not so much male dominated like when I grew up. 50% are female gamers. So I love seeing the female gamers in here as well. I think we should try to come to India soon, actually. I think it would be a huge hit just based on what I've seen. And you guys can tell me if I'm wrong. I heard mobile gaming is very popular in India.
Where
So I think there's a big opportunity for mobile games to do stuff over there. I've been kind of a perfectionist with the software. And again, there's a fine line of waiting too long and being too perfect, but I wanted to make sure that the user experience is really good when you use Game Class. Last thing I want is for any of you to come on my platform and get annoyed. I want you to come on and be like, wow, it's super easy to use. It's simple. I'm having fun. Like that's the kind of experience I want you to have. So when I work with my development team, we talk about these things, right? When we add new features, we make sure that they look really good and they don't ever bother you. So along, I think soon we could be in India, just seeing all these video games in the comment section.
Oh, yeah, as
That's
in
great.
mobile games, as you got it right, is really, really popular for in India, and also because sort of classes when they had to sort of become online, a lot of people got their iPads to sort of take those classes, but the standard device that got people into computing in India has been a cell phone and would be really important to sort of enter this
Oh
market.
yeah, and we're trying to make it so you can. There's a lot of ways to use it in the classroom, right? So like, obviously, teachers a no-brainer, but a lot of the schools I'm talking to in the U.S. they want the students to use it. And what's great is I didn't talk about this, but I've uploaded 2,000 free video game clips on Game Class right now that you can go use a popular game. So you could ask all your students to use the same clip and see what they create. And I love that because it'd be interesting to see what you create given the same clip, right? Things like that. And we are using AI. I'm sure a lot of AI is happening in schools in India, right? Or maybe I'm wrong. But on Game Class, AI has a really strong use. I really am proud of what we've done. You can ask AI to help you make a lesson, and it's phenomenal. So to give you an example, I see a lot of need for speed in there, right? So you tell our AI that you're using need for speed and that you teach third grade physics and you would like to create a lesson. And right away, you get all these ideas you can take to create a lesson, and you can copy and paste those if you'd like into the text editor. You can ask it to create a true or false question for you. And now what you have if you're a teacher is you can just, you always want to fact check, right? Because we don't ever want to have misinformation when we're teaching, but you have a really good assistant on Game Class that can help you make a lesson in 5 or 10 minutes using any video game. So we do use AI and we use it in a great way, in my opinion. And also maybe you want ideas, right? So maybe you say, oh, my kid loves airplanes. My kid is this old. How many games can I use that have airplanes in them? And right away, you'll get like 10 or 15 games. You can copy and paste that into our search bar. And then if we have any free video game clips you can use, they'll pop right up.
Very, very interesting. And is there a demo that you have for us somewhere we can see what
I
it
can
looks
show a
like?
demo. I don't think it's that good, but here's why I say this. I got approached by an elementary school that saw this demo and loved it. So you just never know, right? I was kind of embarrassed by my demo, whereas this principal of 1,000 student school thought it was amazing. It is now why we're getting a pilot. But I can show that one. I don't know how popular Mario Kart is for you over
It's
there. In the US, it is extremely popular game. And if you allow me to share my screen, I can give a short little demo real quick.
I am hoping that you have got access. Once
Yeah,
we
I do.
can,
So let
Yeah,
me
yeah,
make sure.
he can
There we
share.
go.
I made him co-host. Yeah.
Perfect. So this is the
and
platform. And keep in mind, Game Class, the basic base platform is free. There is no cost. Just want you guys to know that. Don't need to put a credit card down or anything. It's completely free. You come on with an account, we give you 20 minutes of storage. That means you can create up to 20 minutes and save that amount of lessons and stuff. And like I said, if you're in Game Class and you go over to this section that says templates, there's over 2,000 video game clips you can use. Now, I don't have all of your favorite video games in here yet. Give me some time. Eventually I will. But if you go up to the search bar and you type in like Need for Speed or certain games, we will have video game clips in here. And what's great is, this, I don't know if you guys ever seen this game, Stray. It's about cats. But anyways, you click on it. If you see a clip that you do like, and this one is about cats of all things, you can one click and instantly use it to create in our editor. So like I said, we really focused on the user experience. It's so easy. It takes 1 second to click on a clip and then go and edit it. And if you want to upload your own clip, you're more than welcome to. So just real briefly before I show the demo, this is what the editor looks like. So we tried to make it very simplified. I don't know if you how many editors you've all seen, but sometimes they get very complicated. We wanted to avoid that because we didn't think people wanted to use a very complicated editor. So you have your basic things where you can draw over gameplay. Like I said, you have questions, and we have multiple choice, true, false, free response, short answer. Quizzes where you can ask multiple questions in a row. Teaching boards. These aren't just for looks. These have a very specific need. We needed a way to be able to pause the lesson, right? So typically when you're teaching, you don't just have a video that plays and it's done. When you're teaching, you pause at certain points to ask questions or slow down the lesson. So teaching boards, what they do is you can see in the bottom of the screen has a continue button. With that, you can have it where the user has to click on it to continue. And you can put text, shape, or draw on these boards. And also from a teaching standpoint, you can track the engagement, how long it takes them to click on continue and stuff like that, and see how engaged they are. So boards are a really cool feature, and you can make them colorful and switch them up, change the colors. So we've done a lot of fun stuff. Text, shapes, bunch of shapes you can use in numbers. So you can put stuff all over your gameplay to basically create whatever you want. And like when I mentioned the whole AI thing, right? You can see right here, we already put the questions for you if you want them, but you can say, what subjects can I teach using the game Stray? How can I teach science using the game Stray? And you have all these questions, and you can type in your own if you'd like. And it's all right here, just right in front of you to use. So just, you know, like I said, we tried to make it a really simplified process for you. Now that demo that I promised, and like I said, be nice to me because I still don't think it's the world's best demo.
I promise.
But okay, thank you. Let's see if I should be able. So this is again public library. So you don't have to post your lessons for the world to see, but you have the option to make it public or private. If you make it public, anyone in the world can come here and watch lessons. So what you're seeing is a public library right here. Here we go. Make sure I mute the sound a little bit. Okay, so probability, and again, I'm not a good artist. If I was, this would probably look a lot better on the board, right? But here's what I was talking about pausing the screen, right? Now we can have the user go, okay, I'm looking at the material I'm supposed to read and learn. Now I'm ready. And then you click continue. And then I was able to pause the screen without even showing a board to kind of highlight these probability boxes. So if you've ever played Mario Kart, there's probability boxes in the game. So I thought, what a great way to teach probability using Mario Kart. And at least in the US, it's one of the most popular games. And here you see I pulled up a little teaching board to kind of teach a little bit about probability and what the odds are that you'll get something. And here's a question. And again, you can drag the question around, right? And he says, you know, what were the odds that Mario would get a banana? If you paid attention to the board previously, you go, okay, 12.5%. And then the video will automatically start playing on its own. Another question. This one's a true or false question. And if you get it wrong, you'll see the right answer. And then here is a quiz. So now it's a series of questions that you take. And what's great about this, at the end, you'll see that right here's a writing answer, right? So you can write these in, and then your educator, whoever created this lesson, can see all the answers. Once you get a thing, you get a score, and then you can share this with your friends, share it with other students, restart it, or finish it. And that's it. So really simple, like you see, it doesn't need to be a 5-minute thing. That's a 30-second thing. And again, I think I could do a lot better. One thing I've learned is that I think you need to have the gameplay go a little bit longer. You can see I paused it a bunch, right? And I think the lesson's more effective if I pause it less and let the video games draw you in and engage you. And then maybe have like one teaching board and one question. So we're still, look, I'm still learning my own platform, how to best set up a lesson. And I think, you know, we should let the gameplay go a little bit more, in my opinion. But yeah, this is the dashboard. You can put yourself in the video game. So we have record functions on here. So you can actually have, you know, your webcam in the corner of the screen. You can have voiceover. You can create courses on here. So you can combine, you know, webcam or audio with lessons and courses. So you can see it's probably a bigger platform, right, than you thought.
Yeah, well, that's I see as a video editing platform, you've done so much work, and The more familiar students are or kids are with the gameplay, and also they were already making these decisions subliminally, that there is a probability higher when I want to click there. But to be able to understand that as an overlay is really, really interesting. So kids and students, if you want to share a word, a single word or a phrase of feedback with Skylar
Yeah,
in
any
chat,
questions, let
we
me
would
know.
proceed.
I'm in the demo. It can be negative. It's always okay to be negative, as long as it's constructive. Always think of it like that. If you tell someone you don't like something but not why, that's never productive. But if you like something too, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
Would you use it? Would you be happy? Do you think it would help with your learning engagement in class?
I've opened chat again for everybody.
Okay, let me see if I can keep up. There's a lot of great questions. Okay, so the last one I see is, do you have a demo? Which I just showed one.
It was from
Counter-Strike would work, just whoever wrote that. Yeah, that game would be really easy to do, communication or analyze gameplay. I have an intern on my company. He thinks game class can be great for video game coaching. That's always focused on is, using game class to make you better at playing the video game. Can we make our own games? You could use Roblox, make your own game, and then teach with it. That would work. How old am I? I just turned 34 years old. Thank you for the positive feedback. Is it free? Yeah, actually, it is. So learning is free. I don't charge to learn and take the lessons. I always want it to be free, to be honest with you. I want to keep that free. To create is free for 20 minutes. Once you want more storage, you want to use AI, like advanced features, what we call our platform would be called a freemium model. It means you let more people come on and use it, and you hope that there's features people want to pay for it. It's just a website. Our website is www.gameclass.ai or gameclass.net. Either one works.
Awesome. Open
A lot of
Pandora's box.
competition. What would you like to say about the competition? Competition's good. In fact, I was worried we didn't have competition, which is not always a good thing, right? Like, we're the first to ever do something like this. In fact, I filed provisional patent, stuff like that. That's not always a good thing, because sometimes that can mean there's no market for it, right? And if we are really successful, I guarantee you people will come and try to copy us. I guarantee it. Our competition right now might be other companies that do learning engagement. But are they really? Like, there's nothing wrong. I don't know what you guys are using in India, but I've heard in the US, like, EDU Puzzle is popular. I see no reason why you couldn't use EDU Puzzle and Game Class. If we're both helping with learning engagement in different ways, aren't they both providing value? So competition is not always something to be scared of. Can we do it right now? Yeah, you could do it tonight. You could log on to Game Class. Trying to keep up with these questions because they're great. FIFA 24. Yeah, please. Anyone wants to create lessons, be extremely helpful. If you want to help me, talk to your teachers. If the teachers start using it in your school and they like it, next thing you know, the schools might be approaching me to pay for it and allow all the teachers and students to use it with all the upgraded features, which would be awesome. So again, and feedback is good. I don't think we've nailed everything. So the more your teachers want to use it, they can give me feedback on what I can improve on, things that are missing, things. The AI, yeah, AI is super helpful. Which game is my favorite? I play a lot of Warzone, Call of Duty. How will I convince parents to let their kids actually use this? Again, I don't think Game Class encourages you to play more video games. It was not intended for that. I think it actually makes you look at video games educationally, which, as a parent myself, if my daughter's playing video games, I want her to look at video games educationally. And again, you can't stop your kids from playing video games, right? Can your parents really stop you? They can try, but it's just really hard with video games are everywhere. They're on phones, right? And again, I'm not trying to encourage more video game play. I want to make that very clear. I'm not. I think you got to balance it. Too many video games is not good. And I don't think this would be an entire class. I think it's a tool that you use to get, maybe you start the class off with 10 minutes of game class. Or if you look around the classroom and people are starting to not pay attention, you bring out game class for 5 minutes. How long did it take to create this? It's been a long time. It really has. Again, the software was really difficult, but that's a credit to my team in India. They have been phenomenal. What I showed you, it may have looked simple and easy. I can't tell you how hard it was to get those overlays to appear the way you design them to on, Google Chrome, Safari, all the different web browsers. Super hard. I don't even know if we need to file provisional patents because it takes so long to create this stuff, to be honest. Forza is a great game because you can do physics with it. Like Forza is one of the best games you could use. Whoever asked that question. What was the core vision of this? I'm trying to think. The core vision was, I hope that this is a really helpful tool where you pay more attention and you learn. If it didn't, I failed. Obviously, I want this to be successful, but I'm very passionate about education. I think education is the most important thing. Like you're more successful and happier in life when you're more educated. This is the fact. If you're not paying attention, and I didn't growing up a lot pay attention because I just wasn't into it. Now, look, not everybody loves video games, so this isn't going to be for everyone. But if I had this in middle school and elementary school, I would have learned a lot more, guaranteed.
I've had to pause chat just so that we can pivot from
Okay,
the
yeah.
conversation a bit.
These questions are so
And
good. Like I said, I'm so impressed by all of you in here. I really am. I love these questions. I love to see like that you're really thinking about this concept. Appreciate all the positive feedback. Our principal won't allow, again, not every school is going to be okay with this. That's okay. Again, when you're an entrepreneur, you don't need everyone. If I had 10 schools as a small business, I'd probably be pretty successful. Think about that, just 10 schools in the world. If I had 50 to 100, I'd probably be really successful. Hopefully that principal would maybe in 5 years change their mind, right? If there's studies showing that, all of a sudden they're learning way more, maybe that the mindset goes, you know what? I'm not so against the video games. I don't need to fight this. It's working. And again, maybe he just talks to me. I would love to have a conversation with that specific principal to see if I can change their mind.
let's hear from some students directly. Sakshi, you had your hand up. You'll have to unmute yourself, Sakshi. Yes.
Good evening, sir. Sakshi this side. I'm a grade 12 student from Army School, and it's honestly a privilege to have you here. Like I watched your Shark Tank
Thank you.
episode, and it's been a great thing for me to watch. My question to you is that someone who has just stepped into the field of entrepreneurship, I wanted to ask you, I have so many ideas regarding different fields of hospitality, AI, technology, and whatnot. So how should I decide that which is the idea which I should work on and take it further? Apart from that, in your talk, you also talked about that teamwork is actually very important. What are the factors that we should take in consideration while deciding that whom we should make a team, a part of our team? And thank you again. You are actually.
Yeah. I mean, look, thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate those kind words. I'm really proud of you. I just want you to know that like taking that step as an entrepreneur is the first part. Like doing, the biggest thing is being a doer. Ideas are easy. I was an idea person. Anyone can say, oh man, it'd be so nice to have a portal where I'm in India in 2 seconds, I'm in India, right? Wouldn't that be great to have a portal? Ideas are easy. Execution is hard, meaning you actually go and create the team. You go and you start doing research. So try to be a doer as much as you can and actually take actionable steps instead of just having ideas. But ideas, again, and you're young, like just start trying some of them so you get some experience. I think that's the most important thing for you is don't worry about having the best idea. Just focus more on like, let me start a few ideas I really like so I can learn. Because you do need to learn some things and you do need to fail in some ways where when maybe you're, in your mid 20s, all of a sudden you've learned so much and you're way ahead of where I was at that age. And then, yeah, finding a team is super important. Not everybody needs a team. Now, I needed a team. Why? Because I'm non-technical, right? Super important. I could not code game class. I realized that if I wanted to do that, I would maybe need to learn how to code for 3 to 5 years. It was a very complicated thing to create. It wasn't a simple thing. I've made websites. I'm pretty good with tech, but no way could I code game class. So I got really lucky. I found my team on Reddit. I met with them. They really believed in the vision. They believed in me. And I just really liked them. I thought they created a demo for me. I remember going on Zoom, they created a demo and the demo was fantastic. And look, game class looks nothing like the demo now. But we get along really well. In fact, my head CTO from India, I get to meet him in person in the US next week. He came to the US for a bit and he's making an extra flight to come and visit me in California. And I'm so excited. So yeah, good relationship. Make sure you bet your team a little bit because if you get into a bad team experience, you're almost you're not going to be able to be successful no matter how good your idea is. So again, find someone that complements you too, right? If you're really good at sales, maybe find someone who is, technical. Because I'm pretty good at sales. I'm pretty good at networking. I didn't go and find someone that was a great salesperson or good at networking. I found people that had other, attributes and skills I did not have. Those were fantastic questions, by the way. And thank you for attending.
Yeah, and Skylar, if that's okay, I thought we can take a couple of more questions.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, I'm sorry. I know I'm going on the talking. I'm just excited. Like I said, I love your
that's
questions.
that's okay. And I love to see the hands up, but since I have to select 5 in total, and this is the second one, you need to do something interesting in your video so that I sort of catch you. I know the next guy I'm sort of going to speak to, but Mansi, okay.
Yeah, so my question was like, we are having multiple ideas to represent how to like create our animations. So, what is the best platform that we can use to like create our innovative ideas?
Okay. So my team uses Figma a lot. I think it's really good because they're able to show me a demo before we actually go through all the coding, and coding takes a while, right? So I'm basically the person that has to look at things and go, you know what? I like the UI or I don't, or I like how we're implementing it or not. And then they're the ones that can create it. But before they waste time, because time is valuable, right? They can use Figma to show me an example. Now, there's a lot of other programs besides Figma. I'm just telling you what I'm experiencing is Figma. It has been super useful. But again, like I used to use like Canva, and I would create not the best looking examples with Canva, but at least my team could take my examples and know what I wanted. And Canva is free and really easy to use.
Good
Okay,
question
sir.
on prototyping, Mansi.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Bihan, would you like to go next?
I have to say one thing which
We have Bihan.
that
Yeah.
am I audible?
You'll have to be a little louder if you can.
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
Sir and ma'am, firstly, good evening. I am from Little 𝗦𝗍𝗿 Senior Secondary School, 𝗙𝗪𝗐𝗍𝗲 from Delhi, and I have made 2 projectors with the help of AI. So, can I show you?
Yeah, show me.
Yes, sir. I have to show screen share.
Demos we can do in a bit. Can you ask like one
Well, I'll
question
tell you
which is
what, too, if
burning
you
in
ever
your
want,
mind?
like, look, if you ever want to email me and you want to jump on a Zoom, you want me to look at your idea, I'm happy to do it. So again, we can hop on another Zoom, just me and you, and I'll give you feedback. And that goes for anyone in this session. I love entrepreneurs. I love to help. So if you have a quick question, email me. I promise you, I'll eventually get back to your email. You can reach out to me. I just brought on some interns from the US. Maybe someone wants an internship in India. Help me get into schools in India. If you are really excited about this, I mean, really excited. You play a lot of video games. You love the idea. Reach out to me. Talk to me. We can talk. So yeah, I'm always open to after this Zoom meeting with you, all of you individually.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so we'll take 2 more questions. Datrika and Medha, I also see that you're probably the youngest attendees today. Would love to hear from you. Do you want to unmute and ask a question? Yes.
Good evening, sir. My name is Medha and I'm from the school Bhadrachalam Public School, and I would like to ask you a question.
Yeah, please. Welcome.
What was your inspiration to create game class?
Inspiration. That's really good. Inspiration, it was so different than my other startup, like completely different. I had a retail center for a lot of years, and now I was getting into, software as a service and stuff like that. I wanted to have another startup and give it another go. I learned so much in 10 years that I thought I could do another idea so much better because I learned so much. And again, video games, my number one hobby, right? And I told you I'm so passionate about education. So my inspiration was combining my favorite hobby with one of my biggest passions. And that's what keeps me going, right? Is like I think if this is effective, people are going to learn a lot more. And to do that with video games, like it gets me, you can probably see my body language, right? How excited that gets me. So yes, always find something that inspires you. It keeps you going because entrepreneurship is hard. And believe me, I have plenty of hard things I deal with game class.
Thank you.
Great
We'll
question.
take- Amazing. Kavyansh, do you want to go next?
So, like you said earlier, the game class is free and everyone has access to it across the country. So, sir, can't people use it to upload videos on other platforms like YouTube?
Great, sort of. So like right now, everything's hosted on Game Class, right? And we don't allow downloads for a couple reasons. One, downloads can be expensive, and we're not really ready for that. And two, we have all those quizzes and questions, right? If you download that, those aren't going to work. Because remember, it'd be a downloaded video, whereas we have questions and things that you need to type into the screen. So that's a 2-point. Now, technically, we're going to probably have, we have sharing on the platform. So you can share to YouTube, you can share to Reddit, you can share to LinkedIn. And again, we wanted sharing because what's the best way to promote game class, right? With you creating something you love and sharing it with the world. So sharing is really important to us. We're working on embed links so you can maybe embed it into third-party platforms. But again, I don't have a problem with sharing on YouTube. I think the problem is like some videos just wouldn't work well, right? Like any videos with quizzes or questions would not work well. But you could have, ones with boards with a timer, stuff like that. So again, we're working on it. But yeah, to answer your question, the answer is yeah, we could get it onto YouTube.
Thanks, Tavias. Great. This is a well thought question. Good one. I do want to be mindful of time. I think we still can take one more question. And between Harshita, Hita, Kriti, and Vanya, I will see your hands up. Who can give me the most creative wave instead of epic cue for the question? That's the only way I have. The most creative wave with the ones that will raise their hands.
I like it. That's a good way of deciding.
Really fair with it. And got no takers for that. Okay. Vanya, since I see your finger, the finger is a legit wave. Let's bring you on. Vanya, do you want to ask your question?
Yes, sir, I wanted to ask my question. So basically the game which I have is a virtual based game. So I wanted to ask you that which type of VFX used in this game?
Which kind of what in the game? Sorry, it was hard to hear.
VFX.
VFX. Like, you mean video editing?
Did you mean like how did we choose which overlays to use in our editor?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I wanted the bare minimum to be able to teach basically anything. So it was a hard choice because there's other things we could add later, like maybe we add a roller, maybe we add a highlighter, maybe we add a calculator, things that we could do. But keep in mind, every time we add something, it kind of messes up everything else on the editor. It's very challenging. So then we have to go back and recode everything. So it's not so easy to be like, I'd love to have a lot of things, but sometimes too much hurts the experience. So like text was obvious, right? Got to be able to type and text in there. Drawing gives you a lot of freedom to draw anything you want. The teaching boards was my idea, and you really don't see that on any other editor. But again, I wanted a way to pause the video. And then quizzes and questions were kind of like, how do you teach without asking questions, right? So that's how we chose the starting point on our overlays. But in the future, we could absolutely have more things. And again, it's feedback. If 90% of my users say, we really want you to have a calculator, my team and I will probably go back to and create a calculator overlay or something like that.
Thanks for that. It's hard to wrap up when we have so many other questions. So Skylar, if I can ask you to share your email ID or some way that the students can connect with you.
Pretty easy to get a hold of. And again, like I said, entrepreneurs are my favorite people in the world. So like, I'm already so proud of all of you for getting into entrepreneurship way earlier than I did. Earlier you start, the better. So like my email is Skylar, SKYLER @gameclass.ai. Again, I am busy and I have, I still sell cryotherapy equipment as making good money and then doing game class as a pre-revenue startup. But I will, if I see your email, I will try to do my best to get back to it as soon as possible. I would love to maybe do another one of these again in the future. I had a great time. Thank you to my host. You were awesome. Yeah, that's the right email, Skylar@gameclass.ai. And I thought you were all fantastic. The questions were phenomenal. And I love doing this. So maybe in the future we can do another one. And again, anyone interested in that, like I said, you be really passionate. If you really love video games and love my idea, reach out and maybe you can help me with getting into schools in India. Right now, I'm really focused on elementary schools.
For sure. I think it's got a great scope, and I'm so glad that you shared with complete transparency and a great customer. Your experience must have brought in a good amount of insights to all our kids. I especially want to call out in the game class logo in G, there's a sniper and controller, or is the sniper just incidental? Do you see it as well? Maybe the white space in the G looks like a sniper.
Oh man,
Person-
I'd be the first person to ever say that. I never even saw that. It was just so we had someone design it with the graduation cap and then the controller, and I think it's just a coincidence.
It came across as a good one. So I'm so glad of about 200 students is what I last checked. More than that joined in. Everybody's been really active and responsive. You can, I will try and compile or maybe at least share the list of games that they shared so that it sort of becomes useful to you in some way or the other.
Yeah, that
These are the
was
games that
great.
Indian kids playing. And yeah, so I would like everybody, I am happy to unmute all of you to thank Skylar for his time and sort of give him a nice wave, and it's a good morning for him.
Thank you all. Yeah, like I said, great time. And again,
Thank
one last
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Sir,
you.
thank you for your time.
Thank you so
Thanks,
Good night.
Thank you
Sir.
so much.
Thank you, sir, for your time,
Thank you,
sir.
sir. Thank you, sir, for your time.
Bye.
appreciate all of you. And the
Hi,
company in India, if you're ever looking into it, is TechRupt Innovations.
Sir, you teach
I'll
us
type that in
very
there for
well.
you.
Thank you for this.
Oh, you're
Thank you.
welcome. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, sir, very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Most of the
Thanks
people
again,
like
Skylar.
us, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Bye.
you're all welcome. Absolute pleasure.
Bye, sir.
Just to give you an idea, Skylar, we had students from all the way from 5th grade to 12th grade from across
Bye,
India, all
sir. And
states
thank you for
being
teaching us
covered.
very well. Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, good. Like I said, I was really impressed by everyone. I think the program is great. I wish we had more programs like this in the US. The earlier, the better for entrepreneurship.
This is the third season of Youth Ideathon. It's an annual
Fourth.
ideas competition, fourth season. And
Great work.
last-
No, this is great. And you can see how excited all of your students, like they all want to be here. I love that.
For your time.
You're welcome.
Last year we received 130,000 ideas from our consultants.
Wow.
And then they get selected, filtered down the last bit of winners, and the winners have some amount of cash prize or mentorship from one of our sponsors or partners, and they handhold them to make it into a solid product, or otherwise bring them on board as interns or some way of follow through. Follow through is what we really believe in such competitions. Thanks again, Skylar. Wish you
Oh,
a very
yeah.
good day. Happy to
No,
connect
you're
again.
welcome. Please stay in touch. Like I said, I would love to do another one in the future. I had a great time. Students were great host and everything. So please stay in touch. But amazing experience.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Skylar. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.